Hello, hello. This is Lupine Fiasco back again with some very mid-fi gameplay through Talshar.net. Today we will be playing against Iyslander. Our Iyslander sideboard does not include any arcane barrier. The reason for this is we are on Kodachis and Mask of Momentum into this matchup, so any floating resources we have on our turn that would go towards Arcane Barrier for the Waning Moon or anything out of Iyslander's arsenal can just be put to Kodachis. Sideboard space is very tight, so we just want to send AB0, go full aggro, try to win through incremental damage. We are running Spring Tunic, and we do have Command and Conquers in place of Rise from the Ashes, which is very bad against Iyslander. They win the coin flip, decide to go first. We just take this damage. Fortunately, have a blue to put an actual turn together. And we are off. This is Mezzo's list from recent Battle Hardens. It is full arcane. So this means a couple of things for FaB. In my limited testing, FaB is better into the arcane list than Iyslander. It is an easier matchup. It does mean, though, that we are never going to get block value out of Mask of Momentum, Tunic, or Shuko. So just be aware, you'll have your equipment for the entire game. At a certain point, you'll get low enough that you just die. So we'll try to win before that. Pick up a Frostbite here, decide to arsenal a card. We're not going to send Lava Vein Loyalty, pitching Lava Vein Loyalty. We'd rather have a hand put together for the next turn. Bit of an awkward one here with 2 Lava Veins and a Blaze Headlong. We have no starter. So we would like to save this brand to pay for any Frostbite, attack with Kodachis, but as it is, if I was making this call now, there's a chance that I go for Snapdragons. We could open with Blaze Headlong and snap it. I believe, well, let's take that back. So, something I've learned recently is against Iyslander, yes, we have to play around them having a Frostbite, us having a Frostbite, them doing something to give us a Frostbite on our turn. So we have to add 1 additional resource to every one of our turns. On big Art of War turns, consider what a Channel Lake Frigid does to you, consider what a Blizzard does to you, but playing out a 4-power attack just in case our turn gets blanked is bad. At a certain point, we need to make our opponent have it, because we're still on Kodachis. We still want to present this 3-1-4 line that makes it awkward for Iyslander to block. So here, if I was going to snap, I would start with Lava Vein Loyalty from Arsenal. This gets around the possibility of a cold snap from Iyslander. I believe that is the best line. It feels bad breaking Snapdragons on turn 2, but otherwise, we play a brand with Cinderclaw, keep our Salt the Wound as the potential Frostbite breaker. It would be brand, Lava Vein Loyalty, Blaze Headlong. After that, depending on how our opponent interacts or doesn't, we could pick up a Phoenix Flame, Lava Vein Loyalty, and Salt the Wound, assuming there's no disruption. Probably is the best line, so here, making this call now, I would save the Snapdragons, lead with Brand, and hope that this is not a Channel Lake Frigid or our opponent doesn't have a Blizzard. If something is fused, and Insidious Chill does happen, we can discard this Lava Vein Loyalty and play out of Arsenal. That's what we decide to go with. Again, I think this is the right line. Breaking Snapdragons this early for what is really just a mediocre turn is not great. Playing Lava Vein out of Arsenal. Opponent has no disruption so far. It's possible this Arsenal is a sink below. Keep in mind that At this point in the game, we don't know whether our opponent is on Iyslander. There's nothing in the equipment suite to tell us one way or the other. Iyslander just takes the damage. That is very interesting. So we can start looking to set up an arsenal, which would be Run and Renegade. We're going to play out of FaB Loyalty. We'll pick up our Phoenix Flame and play Salt the Wound. I believe deciding here whether I want to play Run and Renegade and then Salt the Wound or play an Arsenal the Phoenix Flame. Interesting that I'm going for it here. I might be anticipating the Iyslander setting up a big Ice Vein turn. If Iyslander is just taking all of this damage, there's a very good chance that we're looking at something like Chilling Ice Vein from Arsenal, revealing Channel Lake Frigid, Waning Moon, Arsenal Channel Lake Frigid. And the Iyslander takes a big hit here to make this happen. So Winter's Bite first. Here we are going to keep the Snatch. Above all else, first thing to go is Lava Vein Loyalty. We're looking at E-Strike if we can do it, but otherwise either Hail is revealed. So we're going to discard to Insidious Chill. Then we're going to discard to Ice Vein. We'll keep a Snatch, send a 1-card 4. If it hits, puts a card in our arsenal. Expecting to get a 3-block and Iron Rot Gauntlet from our Iyslander opponent. So here we do see our opponent was setting up for an Ice Vein. If they keep 5 cards like that, you can put them on Ice Vein for sure. But then they just had a bad hand. It's what I found about Mezzo's list is that if I can't block any of the arcane damage, we have AV0. And getting Encased interrupts our hero power, interrupts our ability to Spring Tunic. Getting Icebound interrupts our arsenal. She has ways to disrupt us, but her hands can feel very clunky. Here, we can look to set up an Art of War turn in the future. We can use Spring Tunic now to play the Art of War, but we have no blues. So we get blown out by Blizzard, we get blown out by Channel Lake Frigid. Taking this turn now, I am looking to play Ravenous Rabble, send 4, Enlightened Strike for 7, bottoming the Lava Burst, and arsenaling Art of War. And we'll just wait until we get a better Art of War hand. Channel Lake Frigid coming out from Iyslander. Interesting call here. Using the Spring Tunic, we are going to use Art of War. So there is a reason for this, and that reason is once Channel Lake Frigid is on the board, our Iyslander has 3 cards in hand. We can assume she's going to be able to keep at least 1, pitch to Coronet Peak, and then bottom to Channel Lake Frigid. Once CLF is on the board, Spring Tunic becomes way worse as a play. Costs 1 resource to activate the Tunic, so Tunic activation in response to Coronet Peak is no longer an option. Assuming that Iyslander can keep the CLF on the table for 2 turns, our Tunic is going to become available by the time CLF leaves the board. So getting value from Spring Tunic and Art of War now is just good. It is a good thing to do. Get our value from Tunic while we can. Don't clutter up our arsenal with this Art of War. Considering that this E-Strike costs 2 under Channel Lake Frigid, we would be losing this Art of War anyway. E-Strike for 7, pitch the Art of War, bottom the Lava Burst. Our opponent is low enough on life that this may be okay, but if we can draw a blue from this Art of War, our turn is going to look much better. We are going to banish the Lava Burst to the Art of War, anticipating that we will not be able to go wide enough under CLF to get Lava Burst's rupture effect. We draw a very clunky 2 cards because we have no follow-up for this Ravenous Rabble now. So we are a bit punished for the Art of War play. Had we kept our Tunic, pitched the Art of War to the E-Strike, and bottomed the Lava Burst, we would be sending 11 damage here instead of 5, really putting pressure on our Iyslander. As it is, we get a card from hand. We were expecting that. They'll pitch 1 card to Coronet Peak and Arsenal the other. We can't do anything on this turn, right? We have no 0 cost to pitch 2 reds to. Enlightened Strike would take a card from our hand. We then can't pay for the Enlightened Strike. So we're just passing the turn here. Arsenaling the Flamecall Awakening, we're just waiting for an opportunity. So here we are going to pitch Mounting Anger. Our turn is just going to be E-Strike for 7. Pitching Ronin Renegade, bottoming Ravenous Rabble, and we're just waiting. Sending 7 at Iyslander, expecting to get some cards from them. She'll have enough damage to mount a turn here. Taking 5, going to 6. Could be looking at an Encase with a card to fuse. See an Ice Vein instead. Pitching a Blizzard. Revealing a Polar Blast. So the chill effect comes first. Let me back this up just a minute so that we can see our full hand here. We're going to have to pitch or discard, Then Iyslander may pitch this Polar Blast to Waning Moon. So we're looking at taking 6 damage here, going down to 16. What we can do, and what we should do here, we do not have a real turn. So pitch Art of War to the chill effect, pitch Salt the Wound to the Ice Vein effect. On our turn, we can pitch our blue to play Command and Conquer, paying the Channel Lake Frigid tax, sending 6 at Iyslander, which is lethal, and blanking any defense reactions in her hand that she would have wanted to use to mitigate that life loss. We may just get the Coronet Peak from Iyslander, but if we are sending 4 points of damage, taking her to 2, potentially losing the Channel Lake Frigid, Tunic will be available to pay for Flamecall Awakening. It's looking like we're just trying to push a bit of damage this turn to set up a kill for the next turn. Either Ice Vein from Arsenal is fine. There's no fuse coming out of Iyslander, which makes sense because we have no, it would not affect us in any way. But we do now see Iyslander in a tough spot where she has 3 cards in hand and needs to do something about this Command and Conquer. Getting a Brain Freeze from Iyslander is great news for us. Brain Freeze plus Insidious Chill takes us down 2 cards from our hand. Getting Cold Snap and Armor from the Iyslander is fine. Pitching a Sink Below. Getting a D-React worth 1 point of damage, 1 resource, as opposed to 4 points of damage prevention, is very good for us. So we know that our opponent has a Brain Freeze here. They have an Insidious Chill, so we are looking at potentially losing 2 cards from hand. And we're going to need to get 0-cost cards out of our hand. So there are a few ways we can do this, but what we need to not do is open with pitching the Soul Beat Strike. We also want to get our Flame Call Awakening. So starting with Rising Resentment is generally a good line into Iyslander. You force a block from their hand. If they play an ice card from Arsenal to give you the Frostbite, and Rising Resentment hits, you can banish a 0-cost card from your hand, get Rising Resentment's cost reduction to negate the effect of the Frostbite. Leading with Rising Resentment, it has Go Again. It's a red for Flame Call Awakening, so we're looking at starting with Rising Resentment. The way this is going to work, Iyslander is going to respond with a Brain Freeze, revealing an ice card. So we will pitch or discard to the chill effect, then Brain Freeze is going to look at our hand, take any 0-cost card, and put it back on top of our deck. But the chill trigger gives us an opportunity to get both 0-cost cards out of our hand. Losing the Blaze Headlong is a problem, but it does let us, chill effect says, we can pitch 1, then 3 to satisfy chill, have 2 floating resources. Brain Freeze no longer has a 0-cost card to put on top of our deck. And we have resources available to play both Blaze Headlong, Mounting Anger, and Flame Call Awakening. We also have our Tunic counter. So we overpitched pay for the chill trigger. Brain Freeze does not have a target. And now we're sending 3 at our opponent. Gets blocked out. Play Flame Call Awakening next. We want to get a Phoenix Flame from our deck so that our Mounting Anger has a target. There are a few lines we can take. Playing Mounting Anger now gets both cards out of our opponent's hand by threatening lethal, or by threatening additional damage that they can't block. Our opponent blocks for 5, and now we win the game. We'll play a Phoenix Flame from our hand, activate FaB to get a Phoenix Flame from our graveyard. It will get the Shuko trigger, and then we can use our Spring Tunic to attack with a Kodachi. If we were sequencing this well, we would attack with a Kodachi first, so that our Phoenix Flame gets the mask trigger, but it doesn't matter. And that's lethal. So, great Iyslander game on our side. Winning with enough life that Storm Striders would not have killed us. In general, that is how games against Mezzo's Full Arcane Iyslander go. Definitely losable. Iyslander with well-timed Channel Link Frigids and Blizzards will still ruin your day. Well-timed Encases to shut down Spring Tunic on a turn where you would want to use it for Art of War will shut you down. But without the threat of Wounded Bull, Fiendal's Fighting Spirit, just general 2-card 8-damage hands, it's a much easier matchup. Iyslander is not getting as much value from her cards and is forced to hold more cards in hand in order to get fuse effects and pay for Waning Moons, which means that we are dealing more damage on our turn.